What's going on, fight fans? Thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of the main event right here on Franchise Sports Media. I'm Kalani along with Griff and Kemp, the big man. Griff, we had a very interesting weekend here going on.
We did. A good weekend.
One of the best trilogies between two of the top fighters, Canelo Alvarez, Triple G, Gennady Golovkin, took place. Canelo came out victorious in a unanimous decision.
Yep.
The trilogy is done. No more matchups. No more, hey, who's the better one? Canelo has shown time and time again, regardless of how you feel about it, he's the better boxer. What did you take away from Canelo Triple G3?
I watched it. It was a good fight. It was good. It was actually, I don't know if a good fight would be the way I'd put it. I'd say it was a good performance by Canelo. He looked strong. His punches looked nasty. That left hook to the face with the follow-up to the body, it was a deadly combo. He was getting it all night. Canelo did prove that, like you said, he's the better fighter. I mean, a tie and 2 wins, I guess in the boxing world, that's competitive. That's a competitive trilogy, but it was good. It was good overall.
This is the fight that when you see the matchup, you felt like, okay, Triple G looked great physically, and he had moments. 2 things stood out to me. One, they just waited a couple years too long, like we talked about before in the recap, in the preview. Starting in 2017, and he just now we're finishing up in 2022. That's 41, 42 years old. 5 years later, this should have been happened already. So you got that. At times, his age definitely seemed to show. Also, the same thing. Griff, I don't know what the problem is. Does he not know in the 12-round fight, it's okay to fight the first 6 or 7 rounds?
You would think.
It seems like Triple G against Canelo doesn't get started, doesn't get going until the 7th, 8th round. And that's when you see him start to put together consistently competitive rounds where he's taking the lead, he's running away with it. But then Canelo comes back in the championship rounds and says, wait a minute, my friend, don't just think you're going to run away with this. To me, I feel like that's what separated these two the most, is that from start to finish, Canelo has been more consistent throughout each and every round. As far as his output, his aggressiveness, whether it's countering or attacking, he's been consistent. Whereas Triple G at times seems like he forgets to throw a couple punches. What do you make of those 2 assessments as far as him taking so long to get going? And did you think they waited too long to finish off this trilogy?
I'll start by saying, Triple G's performance on Saturday, I think it's a testament to just how dominant Canelo is. He, like you said, Canelo was going from the bell from the first round, and it took a while for Triple G to kind of get going. And maybe that wasn't the game plan. Maybe the game plan was to, feel him out at the first couple rounds, but obviously he waited too long and he wasn't very aggressive. But maybe it was due to the fact that he was getting big, nasty hooks to his face and body by those big gorilla lats. Good Lord, that looks like it hurt. I mean, Canelo is who he is, man. And I mean, when you perform like that and when you're going up against a guy like that who is just hitting you in the face and getting you in the body and just absolutely dominating you, it's kind of hard to get going. It's hard to take that slow approach and then rile it up and start going faster and better in the next, in the later rounds. So I think Canelo, I honestly think that maybe Canelo kind of forced him to, be a little bit loose with his punches, be a little bit conservative, and he was trying his best, but at the end of the day, Canelo, he's that guy. He's him.
I'm not going to let you do this to me, Griff. I'm not going to let you change my argument in mind about this because you made some valid points there.
Yep.
Now that I think about it, it is kind of hard to get going if you were getting mollywop.
Yeah.
Whoop ham. Face, head, body, face, head, body. It is. I'm not going to let you change my mind. Okay. I'm not going to let you change my mind. Why? Because Triple G has shown through 36 rounds of these guys fighting, he can still keep coming forward. He's like the Terminator. He's like the Energizer Bird. Just keep going and going and going. He hasn't really got rocked in 36 rounds against Canelo, despite all the heavy shots he has been hit with. But then also, if you see, as the fights goes on, you would think, okay, if I'm taking all these major punches early on, why would I be able to start putting my punches together later on? Shouldn't I be worn down and tired? But he's not. You get to those middle rounds, he starts saying, hey, now I'm ready to fight. If I promise you, Griff, I thoroughly believe this. If Triple G said, okay, the first 3-4 rounds, I'm going to test you out. 5th round, I'm going to start picking it up. I firmly believe Triple G wins, if not one, maybe 2 of these bouts. If by the 5th round he said, okay, Floyd Mayweather would do that. Take the first 4 rounds, figure out what you're going to do, get his timing down, then boop, 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 take you out the rest of the way. I wonder if Triple G applied the same thing. I mean, he looking good for 42, taking some supplements across the board. But he ain't going to talk about that. Ain't going to talk about that. Clean sport. But all credit, all praise to the king of boxing.
All praise to
Saul Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah.
All praise to him. Griff, I got to ask you this. Now he's ended this chapter, do you see or have anyone in mind on the horizon for Canelo? A lot of options out there, but then again, when you kind of look at it, are any of them thrilling or any of them going to jump out and say, that's the one? What are your thoughts?
Funny enough, this weekend, due to, some promises I made, I had to attend the Life is Beautiful festival right here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Beautiful
Life
festival.
Is beautiful.
Life is beautiful.
Life is beautiful, my brother.
And lucky enough, I'm sitting down there at the festival and I'm watching the fight on my phone. And it just so happens that a few get people who were there, they joined me and they started watching it off my phone. I guess I was the only one with service.
Okay.
I guess I'm just built different.
You are built differently, bro. You are built differently.
And I'm watching the fight, and a man comes up to me, and after the fight's over, Canelo has won. He turns to me, and he's wearing a lime green thong. What you wear when you go to a festival.
Of course. Anything else.
And he asked me, he goes, where does Canelo go, Griff? Where does Canelo go? Where does he go from here? And I tell the man, I say, there is a man who has hung an L on Canelo Alvarez's career, not named Money Mayweather. There is a guy who's an up-and-coming guy, undefeated record, got that already beat Canelo.
Mm-hmm.
That man, Dimitri Bivol, 19-0, already beat Canelo once. Boxing, whoever, anyone who's scheduling these fights for boxing, let's just go ahead and schedule the fight. Let's go ahead and do it. All right. This is a win-win scenario. Canelo wins. He gets the belt. He gets the light heavyweight belt back. He's back. He shows that no, this was just a mistake. I was getting bored. I beat so many people. I'm on such a nasty streak that it's bound to happen. But if this Bivol kid just goes ahead and says, nah, I'm gonna beat you the second time, and he gets the win back to back, now boxing has a new star.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true. While they have a new star, one of the things that you have in Canelo is, for one, he's got the Latin audience. Mm-hmm. He's built himself into the American audience.
Yeah.
Boxing, fighting, coming forward, backing up. This guy can do it all. Griff, there's not many holes in Canelo Alvarez's game. No. He might have lost to Bivol, but he doesn't have a lot of holes in his particular game. That would be a very interesting matchup if those two went at it again. The problem is, you kind of wonder, Bivol's a bit undersized for light heavyweight. Mm-hmm. And he feels like, hey, I could probably be the top super middleweight, but I beat you at light heavyweight. So if you do run it back, do you go back to 175 and try to rectify that loss for Canelo? Do you go back down to 168 and say, come down to my division? Because now, if I'm coming to where you hold the belts, Canelo, does that mean I have to give you 60-40, 70-30? Do you get to be the A side in this? I have the victory over you, but if we don't fight at the division I beat you at, just the negotiation tables change. This is the uncanny part about boxing. We know what would happen if this was in the UFC. Mm-hmm. We know what would happen. December coming around, it'd be going down at T-Mobile Arena. Absolutely. So it would be interesting to see how that goes. I'm gonna throw this one at you because that was a good pick. Yeah. I believe there's some other guys in the middleweight division. They happen to be twins and happen to be from Houston, Texas. H-Town, stand up. The Charles brothers. They've been clamoring for this for a long time. Either one. Which one you want? You seen the 5 Heartbeats, Big Red. Well, which one you want?
Which one you want, baby?
The Charles brothers would be an excellent matchup for one Canelo Alvarez. I would love to see these two go at it. There are several other contenders as well. I'm not going to dive into every single one right now, that is.
Right.
But Canelo does have some options, but I do think Bivol is his number one because you're right. I lost to him. I've now bounced back with the victory, got my confidence back. We'll see if he takes another fight before going after it. But at some point, you got to think he's going to try to rectify that. I don't know if that means he'll be done at light heavyweight. If he does, do you do a trilogy? If Canelo comes back and beat Bivol, do you do a trilogy? Is that trilogy at light heavyweight, or do we go back down to 168? We saw a rivalry in the UFC, fight at welterweight, but both guys generally are lightweights, but they never got to be fight at lightweights. So now, what do you do in boxing with Canelo and Bivol?
Well, you don't wait till they're both men are in their 50s to do it. I'll tell you that much.
This is true.
Get the fight going. There's so much with that. He already beat him. He's young and like again, he's 19-0. The kid has the ability to be maybe the next Canelo, maybe and the next big name superstar. And that only happens is if they decide to book the fight, Canelo and Bivol. And you tell me Canelo doesn't want that fight?
Of course he does.
Canelo doesn't want a redemption for that loss?
Of course.
The only other person who's ever given an L to Canelo, Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Money Mayweather.
Pretty boy Floyd Money Mayweather. That got a nice ring to it.
A big name in the sport. Hell, I'll even go a stretch further. Maybe one of the biggest names in the sport.
All time.
Yes.
All time. Regardless of how you feel about it, Mayweather, one of the biggest names in the sport, still feels that he will school Canelo today. Mayweather does. So I doubt that fight's ever going to happen. But tremendous showing by Canelo Alvarez. Triple G, thank you. We'll see what he does from here, being in your early 40s. You know, clearly he showed that he's not done. But he's done with chasing Canelo Alvarez. Where does he go from here? We shall see.
Yep.
Griff, let's switch it up a little bit. And speaking of we shall see, I'll tell you what we did get to see. We got to see, for over 15 years, one of the greatest fighters of all time. From Brazil.
Yep.
Put single-handedly the featherweight division on the map.
Yes, sir.
One of the most feared fighters for over a decade. Undefeated for over a decade.
Let him know.
The featherweight king. The undisputed WEC UFC featherweight champion. Jose Aldo has called it a career. Still early in his life, but he's been fighting a long time. Yeah. He's fought the who's who, Griff. Regardless of wins and losses, there's not one, and I mean not one fighter he never fought. Now, granted, there's some matches we would have liked to have seen, but nobody that was in my division that was supposed to be a top contender that I didn't step across from. Jose Aldo. Uriah Faber beat him. Damn near took his leg off.
He did.
Chad Mendes beat him.
A couple times.
Twice.
Yep.
One time was a bit controversial, but hey, the ref didn't call it. Max Holloway, I lost to him, but I went toe-to-toe with him.
You did.
I did go toe-to-toe with him. Ricardo Lamas, got him. Everybody who was in the WEC division, Cub Swanson, got him. Flying knees. One of the most feared leg kickers of all time. A terrific striker. Cardio for days. One of the best takedown defenses of all time. One of the most feared men that you stood across from. Cool, calm, and collective. Outside of one fight, I'll give you that.
We're not going to mention that.
No.
We're going to show some respect.
No, not at all. And that's the thing. Despite that brief moment across from a certain fighter,
very brief,
you look at his entire career. Frankie Edgar, one of the best lightweights of all time, beat him every time we fought each other. Jose Aldo, seriously, I cannot stress this enough. One of the most respected, beloved, feared, and most talented fighters we've ever seen. And this man right here, he never really raised much fuss. You never heard much contract disputes from him. Granted, you know, his English is not good. I'm not sure how well he does speak any English.
I don't know if I've ever seen Jose Aldo speak a word of English.
Well, remember, for the longest time, we never saw Anderson Silva speak English, too. Then all of a sudden, he's normal. Oh, he's normal. Chill. He's normal. But still in all, Jose Aldo decides to call it a career. Griff, I've named a lot there. There's still a lot more to be named, but I've named a lot. Jose Aldo retires. What comes to mind?
Comes to mind. Champion with no fear. A champion who went on, what was it, from 2008 to 2014, didn't sniff a loss, didn't come close to a loss. I think he racked off like 6 knockout TKO wins when he signed with the UFC.
It was nasty.
The man is just a legend of the game, and I mean, hell, with his stature and with his name, you would like to see a guy like that go out on maybe like a way Nate Diaz got to go out against another great another legend in the game, like maybe a Dominic Cruz. That would have been a cool fight to see. But the thing is, like, I think what really stands out to me with Jose Aldo, I mean, all due respect, this is with all due respect. After that 13-second knockout, after his first loss in the UFC to one notorious Conor McGregor, a lot of people, he didn't disappear, but in a lot of people's eyes, they didn't see him the same way. They didn't think he still had it. He never really got back to that form that he was in before the Conor fight. But the thing that's so great to me about Jose is the fact that despite that loss, he just had this resurgence in his career. He went from featherweight down to bantamweight, and people were like, "At your age, you're gonna cut more weight.
You're right.
You're gonna go against killers that are much lighter." It didn't seem plausible. But then the man goes out and he kind of does some things. He does some damn things.
Bring it on.
Let me tell you this. Surprised me this morning when I wanted to do a little research on the man. Do you know at the ripe old age of 58 years old, Jose Aldo beat Chito Vera? Chito Vera, the man who is currently a big name, a contender for the belt.
That just head kick knocked out Dominic Cruz.
Yeah, the same one.
Wow.
The same one. He put on his suspenders. He put on the loafers. He went into the cage and he beat this young lion in Chito Vera.
Yeah,
I mean,
it sounds about right.
You can't say enough about Jose Aldo. I mean, great champion. For absolutely going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, without question.
I think the UFC, I think you can't tell the story of where the UFC is today without Jose Aldo.
Well, Jose Aldo, you know, he had his moments. He had those 2 matches against Max Holloway with the title on the line. He had a bout with Peter Yan at 135 that was essentially going to be for the title contention.
Yep.
So even though he never captured UFC gold again after losing it to Conor McGregor, he had a couple moments where he had a chance to be right there in the forefront, either getting the title or being a #1 contender for it. Just fell short. But man, oh man, this guy's career has one of the best moments that you will see from a crowd-pleasing moment. Knocks out Chad Mendes their first time around. A little bit of a controversy with grabbing the fence, turns around, knees him, runs out the cage, runs into the fans. The fans are swarming him. They're loving him. They pick him up. He's got the flag. One of the most thrilling moments you've ever seen. Thank you, Jose Aldo, for all the memories, all the fights, and best of luck to you in your future endeavors and whatever it is that you decide to do. Maybe take some time away and says, you know what, let me embody heal, let me spend some time with my family, and like you said, maybe come back a year later, a little bit more, because he's still fairly young, and come back and say, you know what, let me do my retirement fight. I had one more fight left on my contract. The UFC did release me from it, but let me try to get one more in just to say, that's it, I'm done. Maybe this is it for him. Either way, it was a fun ride when Jose Aldo was out there.
It was. I mean, hell, you never know. I mean, every day, it seems like every day now there's a new celebrity boxing bout signed, and maybe we see Jose Aldo in the boxing ring. Maybe we see him go in there and make a little money for himself. I'd love to see it. Maybe.
And Griff, I'm glad you brought that up. I really am, because I'm gonna throw some quick takes at you real quick.
Go ahead.
See what your thought is. So, in the world of celebrity boxing, it is reported that former heavyweight champion Iron Mike Tyson went in for a sparring or training session of Jake Paul to check out the YouTuber, see how he's doing ahead of his bout with Anderson Silva next month. 30 seconds, and he left. Now, granted, I don't know if Mike thought this was one of his bouts, and it's over in less than a minute, and hey, I'm out of here. 30 seconds, Griff. That's all he needed to see. What do you take away when you hear that Mike Tyson watched him for 30 seconds and then left?
The man is Mike Iron Tyson. He's Iron Mike Tyson. He's 50, 60. The man is goated. He doesn't have time to sit around watching these YouTubers. I mean, he supports Jake Paul. He likes the kid. He likes the way he's fighting. I get it. But I mean, I don't know if I can take too much from it. I mean, hell, if a Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight is down the road,
there's a possibility that the Paul brothers are trying to go for that. Logan was trying to get it himself.
I don't want to see Logan. I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to see Logan.
That did not seem like a fair bout. But now that both of these guys, more so Jake, do have a couple pro bouts underneath them, it doesn't seem too far-fetched to say if it's an exhibition. Mike Tyson against one, hell, both Paul brothers, one after the other. At his age, maybe he can't go and he need a little break, fight one on the first bout of the card, take a little break, let the other cards go, then gets into another one. But hey, it's not much to take away from it. I get you, but then it's also kind of telling, like, did Mike just look at it and say, this is a complete joke? Or did he look at it and say, okay, I'm good. I don't need to see nothing else.
I mean, these days, Mike Tyson is he's living the life of a goat. He's, every day he's going out smoking weed in the streets with the people. He's tripping on the shroomies while he's getting a couple rounds of training in. I mean,
he is a people's champion.
It's hard to predict what Mike Tyson thinks and what his, what his motives are these days. But I'll tell you this much. If that fight is down the line, and I feel like Jake Paul will have to not only beat Anderson Silva, I believe October, he's going to have to get probably a couple more fights in, maybe still with some big names. But if that is down the line, and we can't wait too long. I mean,
Mike's not getting any younger.
He's not. That beard is white. But he is, that would be something that I think would really be interesting. That would actually, I think, draw maybe the biggest numbers Jake Paul has gotten through this whole time he's been boxing.
It's very possible they might get bigger numbers if he fights one big name that just left the MMA, and Nate Diaz, who's talked about maybe that's a fight that he wants to eye. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Griff, another one I want to throw at you. We got an upcoming middleweight bout in Madison Square Garden. Alex Pereira from Brazil is challenging Israel Adesanya. There's a video leak of Alex and Glover Teixeira, former UFC light heavyweight champions, sparring against each other. Things get a little intense, as it does when you're sparring, especially with the fighters down from Brazil for that shoebox style of just, hey, iron sharpens iron. What are your thoughts on the training, very physical, very hard sparring sessions? We've seen over the years fighters such as Donald Cowboy Cerrone saying he doesn't spar in training anymore. We've seen some, like a Chris Cyborg, that's like, yeah, that's where I came from. We went in there and tried to knock each other out only to get ready for the fights. What are your thoughts on the excessive training?
I saw the video, and we all see a lot of these videos where these fighters it looks like they're going to absolute war in the training room. It's hard for me to say it's a good or a bad thing. I mean, as a former athlete myself, not in combat, trust me, no. But I know back in my day, it did help to feel the contact, to feel, and especially in a sport like that, like football or fighting, the contact makes it so you feel like you're ready. You get a little taste of what you're gonna see when the game or the fight goes on. But at the same time, you guys, like you said, like guys like Max Holloway have said they've stopped sparring. They want to preserve their bodies, preserve their mind, especially most importantly.
And that chin, your chin only gets so much.
Yes,
you can only take so much.
Absolutely. So it depends on, I guess, on the athlete. If the athlete feels like they want to get a little taste of what's gonna come, then maybe it's a good thing, especially in a bloody sport like MMA or boxing. I mean, it's hard to take. You want to preserve yourself and take as little of damage as possible. But if you are going to be going into that bout, you probably want to get a little taste of what you're going to see. You don't want to be surprised come the day of the fight and you get that first punch and you're like, oh, I didn't prepare for that.
I mean, that's going to happen regardless. You go against somebody who hits like a ton of bricks or just happens to be accurate and fast. You just never know how it's going to be and how you react to it. But I agree, every fighter is different, so it's all about what works for you and how you can operate. Some people need the iron sharpen iron. Others just need to be able to flow with it, stay healthy, and go out there and, hey, let's try to give them all. Lastly, Chris, and we're talking about celebrity boxing, so this is kind of in that realm. On the undercard of Jake Paul versus Anderson Silva, October 29th, we are going to see Chris Avila, a Bellator fighter, taking on YouTuber Dr. Mike. I don't know if you've seen this, but he's a doctor who reviews scenes from movies and shows, doctor footage from there. They'll show him a clip of House, go over a scenario, and he'll break it down if that's what a real doctor does, if that's the lingo, etc., etc. Well, these two are going to step in the ring and do 4 rounds of boxing with each other. I mean, this is obviously grown into be a thing. This is becoming a huge, huge deal. Griff, we need to get you ready so you can step in the ring and take on some people. All the trash that I'll talk online, you take them on. That's what I got you here for. But in all seriousness, good, bad, indifferent on it yet? Too early to tell. I mean, is this what we want to see? Is people who are your non-traditional fighters actually stepping in the ring and giving it a go?
You got guys like Jake Paul who's made this kind of a thing. Would you say the Paul brothers kind of brought this? Oh,
they spearheaded this. Without a doubt.
They brought this to the mainstream.
I would say Kimbo Slice was the godfather of it.
Yes.
Kimbo Slice was the absolute godfather of it. He does not get enough respect for where he came from to where he ended up going. But the Paul brothers, years later, have definitely taken it, kind of like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird saved the NBA, but then Michael Jordan took it to Planet Jupiter.
Yes.
That's what the Paul brothers have done here with celebrity boxing.
I agree with that comparison.
That's a good one. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. I hate this. I hate this.
Are you scared to get in there and fight?
No.
We'll pick somebody easy for you.
Okay. Well, I don't even know the YouTubers these days. I'm a little too old to know these YouTubers.
I'm sure there's an 8-year-old out there we can find.
Give me the kid who reviews Lego blocks. Give me that
there we
kid.
go.
I'll take him on.
There we go.
But I'm saying is, besides the Paul brothers, because they are such an act and because they came into this realm of boxing with such a large following, they were on Vine, then it moves to TikTok, Instagram influencers. They have such a following that, yes, they're able to sign guys like Anderson Silva and possibly Nate Diaz, and they have these big names that can attract, and people are on board with it. But the rest, I've seen this. I've seen the ads for like the rest of these YouTubers and these celebrity, internet celebrities coming on and doing boxing. It's weird. It's strange. I'm not gonna hate. All right, though. I don't really feel I'll ever go and I'll actually tune in to see it. I'm never gonna tune in to see some random YouTuber, but I mean, a Bellator fighter, he's gonna get.
But hold on now. We thought a former UFC champion was gonna run through a YouTuber, and he got money.
He went night.
So you just never know. I would say this: if you take it seriously, if you train and you really are committing yourself, you can go out there and not make a fool of yourself. You can still lose, but you can go out there and not make a fool of yourself. We've seen former athletes do it. Le'Veon Bell, Adrian Peterson, Nick Young, others. We've seen the difference. If you take this seriously, you're not going to look too bad. If you don't take it seriously and you just think, well, I'm an athlete, I work out, I do CrossFit and this and that.
You're going to be Nate Robinson.
You're going to be Nate Robinson. You're going to be Adrian. No, I won't even say Adrian Peterson. Even though he got knocked out, I won't say him because there was videos of him training seriously hard. But you're going to be Nate Robinson. You're going to be Nick Young. That got put out. You're going to be one of these guys who gets dropped and you're going to look foolish. Ben Askren. Sorry, Ben. But it is what it is. But, Griff, I think we should wrap it up.
I think so, too. It was a great show, brother.
It was a great show. And thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of The Main Event right here on Franchise Sports Media. Be sure to tune in every week and follow Franchise Sports Media for more content in the world of combat sports and all the sports you love to enjoy. This is Griffin Kemp. I'm Kalani and Griff. Till next time, fight fans. Peace.